Hello and welcome to Filmi Ladies. Today we are bringing you this very, very wickedly delicious episode because we are, of course, talking about one of our most favoritist Filmi ladies, which is Bindu, also known as Shabnam. We have already done an episode in the past on vamps because, as you can tell, we feel very strongly about all of our vamps. And in that episode, our dear friend Lanshuroni was a guest. Then we did an episode on Aruna Irani, an episode on Helen, and now it is Miss Bindu's turn. These three women are our triumvirate, and we very much do worship at their sequined feet. I watched two movies for Bindu. I watched Hawas, which is like a really famous movie of hers, and then I also watched Do Raaste. And I actually don't know what Beth has watched, so I'm gonna ask her. Beth, how giddy with delight are you at the idea of doing an Bindu episode? And then which of her films are you going to talk about today?
I'm extremely giddy with delight. However, I only watched one film. Uh, I don't know, just what is time? I don't know. I knew this was coming, but here I am with just one film. But I did also watch Hawas because, once you start digging for films that feature Bindu, this is, I think, number one that comes
Yeah.
up usually, right? So we had no choice but to watch this. And I had heard of it before, and it was kind of on my, humongous list of like, oh yeah, do that someday. 1974 is prime vintage for me. So this took absolutely no convincing whatsoever, and I'm so glad that I watched it. And I did try to look back a little bit at some of the other things I've seen her in, although it's mostly songs, not entirely.
Mm,
But she certainly has made more of an impression on me than the amount of time with her that I have
right.
spent would suggest.
Right. Yeah, I watched Havis as well, and same like you, it had been on my never-ending, always expanding watch list for a while. I just hadn't gotten around to it, and then I had like a brief like hallucination where this is so funny. I was convinced that Bindu was the main troublemaker in the movie Hum Saath Saath Hain. Like Hum Saath Saath Hain is like a thinly veiled Ramayan, and I was pretty sure that Bindu was in the role of Manthara. I had convinced myself of this. And so I buckled up to watch Hum Saath Saath Hai, which I do not like Burjate movies. I got three-fourths into the movie and I was like, when is Bindu going to come? Kalpana Iyer was there, Kunika was there, Prema Narayan was there. I was like, wow, there's a lot of like
Oh.
yesteryear's vamps here, but where is like the vamp? Where is Bindu? She's not coming. Finally, at one point, I looked at my husband. I was like, three-quarters of the movie and no Bindu. Where am I getting Bindu? I'm putting through all of this, sitting through all of this Burjatya nonsense. And my husband goes, I don't know if she's in it.
If only there was a machine in your pocket that could have told you this ahead of time. But
If
I've
only,
I've made this mistake as well.
yeah, I've heard of this thing called Google.
Mm,
And so then I was like, maybe I should use this newfangled new technology.
mm.
And so I went into Google and I was like, is Bindu in Hum Saath Saath? And Google was like, no, bitch, Google, she's in Hum Aapke Kaun. But by then I had had enough of my fill of Bajatya and I could not take it anymore. And
To
I was like, I
rewatch
am done with
to
this.
rewatch either of those films is really, I mean, friends don't let friends watch Devdas, but they also don't let them rewatch or even watch at all, honestly, either of those films. It's too late for both of us. We have seen them before, but
Yes.
no.
But yeah, so I feel like there's one of two explanations. One is that I was sleep deprived and not thinking clearly and fully confident in
Yeah.
the filmography. And B, also a very plausible explanation is that I was being punished for my giddy enjoyment of vamps. And so the powers that be decided to punish me at the altar of the Brajatyas,
I just want to
where I was
add,
like force fed the
yeah.
saccharine sweetness.
Oh. I would like to add to the woes here because we've had several technical difficulties already today. So please do bear with us, listeners, if anything should go awry or if videos get turned off for the sake of the Zoom call. I also came home from work early today getting sick, so my voice is a little weird. And then also on my way out of my garage to my house to come home, I bumped my head on the trunk of the car, not
Oh
super
no.
hard, but hard enough that I can still kind of feel it like half an hour later. So really, we are on a struggle bus over here. But that struggle bus is being driven by one Ms. Bindu. So obviously trouble will happen, but it will be fun, filmy trouble rather than just the daily woes of not feeling well and not sleeping enough and all that stuff.
Wait, is this like divine retribution? Should we be worried? Are
I
we
don't
going to
think
get
I don't
karmic?
think so. She's still alive and we are praising her. So surely that's okay. We have our boas on.
We have our boas on.
I am wearing, and when I say my pajamas are leopard print, they're printed with leopard, not leopard spots. So I am
Love
wearing
it.
pajamas with a leopard on them because that's about the best I can do. And I don't really have any Bindu appropriate clothes anyway. But I think if she were let loose in my closet, she'd be like, well, I guess.
And I unfortunately am drinking tea when I really should be having a dirty martini, but fine. And you're not drinking alcohol either. We're kind
No.
of like sad podcasters, aren't we?
But we want to be more like Bindu. So we are here to learn.
Yes, she is. She is part of our three Devis.
Mhm.
So there is that.
What better film to learn from than Havas?
I know.
This is one of the greatest things I've seen in a long time.
Me too. I
And
loved it
I
so
and I
much.
say that we both say that right after, maybe a month ago, having seen Liz Taylor Cleopatra. Okay, so maybe it's not quite as great as that, but it is pretty great. And like
Yeah.
nickel for nickel, it's definitely as great as that.
Yes.
Um, I
Or
loved
sequin
every,
for
yeah,
sequin.
sequin for sequin. I loved everything about this movie, except
Mm.
Anil Davan is just not leading man material to me. And my list of who else I would have wanted to see in this role was basically any and everyone.
Yeah.
Um, However, it doesn't matter. The film's not about him really. It's about Bindu, and she brings everything. As we know, I love Neetu Singh, and that was the first context I heard about this film in because I knew she was in it, and she's fine, but she's not the main point of this either. But like, who would you
There's
have
even
cast?
your Vinod Mehra in
I
it.
know there's even my Vinod Mehra in basically a cameo, Rekha in a cameo.
Yeah.
Who, what leading man would you have put opposite the great Bindu in this to do a better job?
Oh, that is so hard.
Like,
Because who has her personality? But I'm trying to be positive here. And when you said like Anil Thavan is not, it immediately reminded me of Shekhar Suman in itself.
yeah, it's
Like
about
that,
that
because
level of
like
being
that's a
outclassed.
disaster of epic proportions.
Hmm.
And this
Hmm.
is also disaster of maybe not as epic proportions.
So what I really wanted in this, and I don't know who this tracks to, and I feel like I should know given my love of the 70s. I want Anil Kapoor
Mm.
energy back in 1974. And I'm not quite sure who that is because as fun as it would be to see Dharmendra, Amitabh, even Shashi, who isn't the right, but
Feroz?
Feroz Khan is pretty close. Even Vinod Mehra, if they'd put him in this as opposed to the like side, this like cameo thing that he has, I feel like maybe he would literally, Jitendra would have been better. Like
Yeah.
basically,
Vinod Khanna.
Vinod Khanna would have been great. So we have him as we have our hero as a guy working for a criminal gang trying to steal this necklace. And this gets into a huge plot with Bindu as the owner of the necklace. So he is supposed to be bad, but she's worse.
Yeah.
So you need someone with an edge that I don't think Shashi really has, honestly. Although he obviously would have been better than Anil Dhawan. But like,
Okay, I just got an
come
idea.
on,
Danny,
who?
Danny.
Danny, Danny would have been A plus.
Because the thing is, like, I was thinking through everything you were saying, and it's like, and I was trying to do my casting job, which
Mm,
no one is paying me for or asking me to do except for you. So thank you. But I was thinking, like, this person has to be shrewd and smart,
yeah,
but they also have to look good with Bindu, and they
yeah.
have to like match for toe for like charisma. Danny's our man.
Danny is your
Danny
man,
Denzung, but there you go. Yeah,
and
they would look so good together
he's
too.
the man equivalent of a vamp, basically.
He
Although,
is.
I
He
mean,
is a male
I
vamp.
because I could easily be convinced that people brought him in for sex appeal sometimes. So,
100%. It's Danny.
um, Danny, I love that. Okay, so just imagine everything that we say when we're referring to the male lead that you've got Danny and you've got yourself a better movie. However, as stated, this movie is already pretty freaking great.
Yeah. Do you want to tell our viewers what the story about? Which, by the way, it makes me laugh so much because, like, the title Havas literally translates to lust.
Love it.
And after watching a movie called Lust, which I greatly enjoyed, and there's a whole song in it, the title song, which is all about lust. After watching that, I had to watch Hum Saath Saath Hain, where there were songs of the intellectual caliber of A, B, C, D, E, G, H, I, JKLM, and everyone is feeding each other laddus all the time. And the cognitive dissonance was too much and it was driving me to drink. So I just want to say I feel very bad for me.
And there's no food in this movie. It's all drink.
It's just they drink their lunches in this
There is
movie.
a picnic scene with Nisi Singh and her friends, which is cute, but mostly it's drinking, and Bindu is pouring drinks for everybody all the time.
Always. Yeah.
This movie, I mean, basically the plot summary I've already given will do the job, but Bindu is married to a rich older man. Um, I wasn't clear if she's the biological mother of Neetu Singh or just the
I
stepmother.
thought stepmother.
Okay, that certainly had the vibes, but then she's calling her. I don't. It doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
Um, and Anil Davan is the like lackey of this gang. He also has a blind sister played by Vidya Sinha, who is very much wasted in this role, but that doesn't really matter. But I believe he's trying to get money for her in
Yeah.
some way,
Yeah.
right? And they, of course, threaten her, and the gang threatens her in the end.
Right.
Of course, they do. Um, but he's trying to steal this necklace that she has, that Bindu has, and she is known to them as not only the owner of the necklace, but an incredibly lustful woman, and the
Please use the word they used.
nymphomaniac. They have to
Yes.
describe this term to Anil Devan, who is, despite being a criminal guy, doesn't know about this, I guess.
Yeah.
Um,
He was like, what? What is that? And they were like, वो nymphomaniac hai. And he's like, वो क्या होता है?
I want to give a spoiler for this film, which is that had this been another film, even from this era, I was very ready for him to be revealed to have been a police officer all along.
Oh,
He's
yeah.
not.
Right.
He's not. And that makes it better.
Because he really is a bad guy. See, I
He really is a
genuinely
bad
wish
guy.
for multiple reasons that he didn't have an Andhi sister, because
I
then you can
know.
always try to like give a justification as to why he's the bad guy. I
I
would have preferred it if he
know.
was just like a run-of-the-mill bad guy, but
Yeah.
it's fine.
And
Yeah.
I've forgotten, I've neglected to say who else is in this. So Pradeep Kumar is Bindu's husband. I believe he's doing some wiggery, but he's, old. Uh, and she murders him in the most 70s bathroom I've ever seen. That
Yes.
like sickly green yellow. And I love
Yeah.
yellow, but like that is a slightly alarming bathroom decor wise, but it's got this island tub and double sink situation in the middle of the room. And like it's just an absolutely amazing bathroom, and she murders him, and it's great with drink and then
Hmm.
drowning, so like double drink, I guess.
Yeah.
um and the let's see, who's the crime boss is um Pinshu Kapoor, right?
Oh, yeah.
So we've got, this is another of those movies that it's not quite A-list, it's close, and it's got a lot of, everybody's recognizable, but it's not
Mhm.
quite. But because like Ranjit is not here as a bad guy, even though
Mhm.
there's a ton of bad guys, but it's still fun.
Right.
Totally fun. Um, Neetu Singh, in the meantime, falls for Anil for reasons that don't make any sense. I don't know how old she's supposed to be, like out of school, I guess, but um, so they have a romance that doesn't matter. But then, of course, Bindu's trying to seduce him as well, and then he's trying to play along so he can get close to the necklace. And then there's like a secret recording made, and then hostages taken, and we're trading the necklace for the tape, and the hostage and the this and the that and the other. And there's Farial is also in this movie as one of the
Mhm.
malls of the gang, which is great. At one point, I even thought that was Bindu because I was looking on my little laptop and she had an amazing outfit. So I'm like, oh my gosh, it's Bindu. It wasn't Bindu. So anyway, this is just all 70s nonsense. Amazing. There's no
And
smuggling, right? But otherwise, it's very 70s mythology.
yeah. And then there was also that it always cracks me up when there's like a party song, but the party song is like a sad song.
Yeah,
And Neeta Singh has been like engaged to someone else. And so Anil Devan is really sad about it. And they're like,
yeah,
ek gana gao, it's Khushi ke mauke par. And of course, on
right.
a Khushi ka mauka, you want to like sing your sad ballad about how your heart has been broken. And then he sings this actually really good
It's a
song,
nice song.
which I knew, but I didn't know it's from this movie. Teri galiyon mein na rakhenge kadam.
And it's the only song that a man does in the whole film. All the
Yes.
other songs are Asha, and they're all like Bindu. And
Hmm. Yeah.
so,
Except for the Rekha item
right,
number,
except for the Reka
which was
item
also, I was
number.
like, wow, you got Rekha for an item number. That's
I
pretty awesome.
know. I'm
And then
assuming
Vinod
there's like a
Khanna,
Reka Vinod Mera 2-for-1 going on here with the
yeah,
cameos.
possibly.
I don't know. I don't know. But it was great. Reka was great. I wish there had been more of her because Reka and Bindu together would be even more amazing. But
Yeah.
when you present me with a movie that has Reka for a little bit and then you take Reka away, I'm often sad, but I wasn't even sad here. This
Yeah.
film felt that I was like, yes, always add more Reka, but since you're not, I accept that. It's still good.
Yeah. So this movie is like really interesting because she is unequivocally bad.
She is.
Let's think of all the ways in which she's bad. Okay, so first of all, she's clearly a gold digger who has married this old man, which because
Hmm.
she just cares about his jaidad, and in order to hasten the quick delivery of jaidad to her, she literally plies him with drink. he's in the bathtub, and when he is like kind of like, drowsy, she pushes his legs and his whole body down into the bathtub in order for him to like drown to death, which is, I'm pretty sure, a really horrible and painful
It's an
death.
extensive scene too. They really dig into it, which I really liked. She gets to do
Yeah,
some acting in there that I really enjoy.
exactly. She's
Yes.
very thrilled about it too. Like
Yeah.
he dies and she's like, "Yay,
No,
thank goodness,
no
now I
doubt.
get the
Yeah.
jaidad." Yeah. So gold digger number one, number two, murderer.
Hmm.
Number three, trying to seduce your stepdaughter's boyfriend, whom you know that they're involved with each other. And also, for the record, your stepdaughter is also now technically an orphan, but like you don't care, because of course you don't.
Hmm.
And then
She
what else?
hires a goon played by
Yes.
Dara Singh's brother, who I did not
Yeah.
know was not. I was like, that's Dara Singh. Wait, no, that's not Dara Singh. That was amazing. That was a fun find. Hires a goon to pretend
Kidnap.
to like assault her and but then so that Anil Dhawan will do stuff, whatever. So
Yeah.
like I don't know what you would count that as duplicit like
Kidnapping.
kidnapping, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, kidnapping.
She
And
has
then,
a hench dude of another kind who like does her bidding in some kind of basement lair type situation.
mhm. And then remember, like when Neeta Singh is all tied up and stuff. I was not expecting this. I was so shook.
No.
She literally is coming up to her and she's threatening her.
Yeah.
She's threatening to like cut out her eyes and like destroy her face. And like she takes a knife and she literally starts like
Yeah.
chopping
That's
off
sick.
Neeta Singh's hair.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
was just kind of like, wow, because
Assault.
until now, so one of the interesting thing about this movie is like, yeah, she's a bad guy. I mean, she's a bad person, and we have seen many bad people in many movies, But usually they get other people to do that dirty work for them. Here, she's perfectly happy to murder him himself. She's
Hmm.
perfectly happy to start slowly torturing, basically, her stepdaughter. Like she has no qualms about it.
No.
Like the woman has a digestion of steel, let me just say. Like she has
Mm.
a stomach of steel. She's not afraid to get her
And a
on the
liver of
dirty is
steel, I
dirty.
think. She
Yeah,
drinks a lot and seems to be
she
fine.
does. Yeah,
And
she's
she also
fine.
just lies all the time, which is not a crime, but she does lie pretty much nonstop. One of the things I found interesting about her sort of bad nature is that,
Oh, and let's not forget she is also a nymphomaniac, and she's
right.
obsessed with having sex with all the men. Whoever's available is
And again,
fine.
not a
Like,
crime, but
right.
and at first I was like they the range of men that they show her lusting after, it's kind of
Yeah.
unimpressive, frankly.
Yeah.
There's a lot of hunky dudes in Bollywood at this time, and they didn't cast
Hmm.
any of them.
Yeah.
Um, but and again, like Ranjit, who yes, often is playing someone who is sexually assaulting people, but he does have his own kind of sexiness to him,
Yes.
extremely bad boy kind of way. Where was he? Like he should have been in this
Right.
movie, but I guess they wanted to show how deranged she is, that she's going for like
Right.
holy people and whatever else.
Yeah.
But
Like she'll go for the doctor played by Vinod Mehra, but then she'll also go
right,
for some like rando, basically. Because
Rando,
doesn't
yeah,
she also try to seduce? She tries to seduce Mahmood, who is the
the
one
cop,
comedy uncle in
yeah,
this movie who's like a bumbling cop. So they did try to show that there's no like almost like discernment. Like she'll basically
right,
just sleep with anyone. So
right.
there's that also, which I don't think I've ever seen in a Hindi movie before.
No, and when you see her kind of like zeroing in on someone, they do this close up of her eyes with her
Oh my
glitter
god!
makeup and everything, which becomes important in the end because did you catch that there is an Andi Ben?
That there's a what?
Andi Ben, right? So we have our,
Yes, yes.
so I did not make that connection until the very end when we see something interesting about the eyes. Um, so great, so 70s, so nonsense, so amazing.
The eyes thing, okay, I wanted to ask you this desperately, but like I know we're very bad and like we keep WhatsApping each other
Yeah.
while we watch these movies, and then one of us has to say to the other, we need to save it for the podcast, and then
Mm-hmm.
that puts an end to the chat. Okay, so there's this sound that they always use in all the Nagin movies. I
Yeah.
don't know how to describe it. It sounds like the what is the maracas?
Yeah.
It's like this, it's like a rattle.
Clackety. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, like the rattle of a rattlesnake. And when they would do the close up of her eyes, and her eyes are gorgeous, and like all the beautiful eye makeup and the false eyelashes and everything, and they zero in on it and they almost like twinkle a little bit, and they had that like tick, 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 kind of that rattle. I almost wondered, and this could just be my overactive imagination, but I almost wondered if they were trying to imply that she like hypnotizes
Oh,
her
uh-huh.
prey
Uh-huh.
like a noggin would.
Yeah. I
And
bet they
also
are.
because right? And then like even in like the Nagin movie with like Rina Rai, whatever, it's like the whole concept of like entrapment,
Yeah.
you know, because like it's not about the dude. She doesn't care about the dude. It's about the
No.
entrapment, right? So
The
that
power.
almost reminded me like there is nothing supernatural or meant to be anything other than like completely regular about this movie.
Hmm.
I mean, except for like normal 70s masala stuff, but that almost gave me like a little bit of like almost like a Nagin, at least like a femme fatale vibe. And
Yeah.
like there is something captivating about this woman where she like ensnares you.
And yet, one of the things I was struck by is that for a 70s Bollywood nymphomaniac in a sort of A minus grade film, she's presented visually as basically normal.
Yes.
Right, she's glamorous, but she's not wearing 27 feathers on her head like Helen in a song or like her own, song. So she's presented as this like society dame. Here she is dancing around being seductive behind me on Zoom, but she is wearing, okay, parts of it are sheer, parts of it are sequined, but like this is a fairly normal 70s
Yeah.
movie outfit in a lot of ways. And Neetu Singh is, no more is no less revealing, really. She's just
Yeah.
wearing opaque polyester instead of sheer and sequins. So like there's like a it's not quite an everydayness, but there's something like a little scaled back about her visual appearance that I think heightens the like nympho
Yeah. I
situation
com-
that was really interesting.
I completely agree with you because especially when you said feathers, I was thinking of Simi Garewal in
Yeah.
Cars, which is one of my
Yeah.
favorite like villains of all time. And in Cars, especially in the scene where Rishi Kapoor is dancing on stage and he's singing, and it's that guitar tune that Raj Kiran used to play, and Simi Garewal is in her ostrich feathers and she's wearing her outfits. I mean, Simi's outfits in Cars are probably more over the
Yeah,
top and
I
like
would say.
showgirly than Bindu's are.
Hmm.
Bindu's are more like I'm just like a very rich society lady, and look at all these like sequin saris that I wear, and like these halter neck blouses I wear because
Yeah.
we don't have like middle class Moors or whatever. And you're right, that makes it even more shocking
And apart for
that she has
her,
the lifestyle she
and apart
does.
for the necklace that they want to steal, which is, if you think of the ancient Egyptian like chest pieces, it's like it's really huge. And they really
Yeah,
like that thing. So it is sparkling all the time.
yeah,
Very captivating. Um, yeah, she's not ridiculously ostentatious or anything.
yeah.
She's, maybe a little not classy. She's maybe a little tacky or gaudy or something, but
She's gaudy.
she's not dressed like she's doing an item number all the time, which I
Mhm.
think I kind of assumed she would be.
Right.
That was
She's kind
fascinating.
of dressed like how there's all these like Murder on the Orient Express type of shows where there's always like the gay divorcee, and I mean gay as in the old English gay where they're like happy and
Yeah,
they're just spending their
yeah.
dead spouse's money, and you know how they dress a little bit over the top because they've
Hmm.
come into all of this cash, but they're not quite ladies of ill repute.
No.
She dresses a little bit like that.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah. So, have you seen this wicked? Okay, and I think what made this even more wicked to me was that again there is no justification for her badness. Just as there's not, I mean, with Anil Dhawan, there's a little bit of a justification, like, well, he does have an Andi Behen. But in her case, she's just outright bad, and there's no explanation for it, and there's not much of remorse or redemption arc, except at the very end when she's dying, because of course she does. And then there's the comment made about how his sister needs eyes, and Bindu has eyes, and um, was that shocking to you that she was just an unrepentant villain for all 2.5 hours of this film?
Only, no, but only because of what I had briefly read about the film before I
Mm,
clicked play. I think if I hadn't read anything, and if I had not, if I had just kind of stumbled, or if I had thought, oh, I'll watch this for Nitu for some other purpose, right? Then
mm,
maybe. But because I had gone looking for films in which Bindu has a real role, but as a concept, yes, because usually this is a little more isolated to Vamp, who might also be a police informant or something like that. So she's not as bad as she appears.
mm,
And Bindu does not, I don't think she ever performs as a cabaret dancer in this, right? Like
no.
the dances are all private, which is
Seductive.
really
Yeah.
interesting. Yeah. So like behind me here, she's dancing on a giant mirror floor. I think this is her house. I can't
Yeah.
remember, but I think it's somewhere relatively normal. Because I have a mirrored dance floor in my house.
Yeah.
You land's a little more expensive where you live, so maybe you couldn't squeeze that
I
into
have a
one night.
boudoir though,
Yeah, yeah,
so.
yeah. She has a giant boudoir with like a bar in it, and this house that they have is also very 70s, and I long to think it's a real house. I have no idea, but
I was
um,
very sad that there wasn't like a taxidermy jaguar or something with its
it is
like
missing
fangs
that.
out. That is
Yeah.
missing.
I also thought that the villain layer, because this film opens with these very like psychedelic patterns behind the credits, and then
Yes.
immediately it goes to Anil entering the villain layer, walking through a circle, and I was like,
Yeah.
oh, I bet the in another time we'll see the other side of that entrance, and it's going to be an eyeball, and he's walked into a giant
Right.
head. We never see the back of it.
No.
Very sad about that, but he walks into a layer with a cabaret floor and everything that does have a lot of arches and stuff in it. So that's
Hmm.
very satisfying. But yeah, the interiors in this are lots of fun, very 70s-y.
Yeah. So one thing that I always think about when I think about our great triumvirate of vamps, Helen, Aruna Irani, and Bindu, the way I rank them, I mean, I rank them equally, but they perform different functions, I always feel. And tell me if you agree or disagree. I'd love to know your opinion. But I always feel like, to me, Helen is amoral. So Helen's roles or Helen's characters typically are they're
Mhm.
there to do their job, which is she's either a nightclub dancer or she's the gangster's mall or she's like some like she's involved in some way in that shady business without necessarily being shady herself. But she's also kind of like she's okay with what they do. It's just business to her, right? So she's very
Mm,
amoral in my
mhm,
view. And then if you look at Aruna Irani, frequently she is playing a moral person, so that's where you get your stereotype of like, like when they say like hooker with a heart of gold, like
mhm,
that's often like she plays a heart of gold. So like in some way she's gonna help you out, in some way she's gonna like take pity on the heroine and be like, oh fine, whatever, I'll help you, and she'll do something like that because she does have a moral core, and she will sometimes involve herself, which is often to her detriment, but she'll do it. And then Bindu, to me, it's just where morals go to die. So there's no morals whatsoever. There's no code of conduct. There's no like honor among thieves or anything. It's just, I'm going to do what I want to do and screw all of you. So, like, to me, Bindu is the most immoral of the three. Aruna is the most moral, and
mhm.
then Helen is kind of straight down the center where she's like, I'm not going to involve myself. I'm going to go down my amoral, glamorous
Yeah,
path.
amoral as opposed to immoral, I think. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
So moral,
So,
amoral, immoral. Yeah.
right.
Yeah, I think overall I would agree with you. And I'm sure they
Okay.
all do all of those at some
They
point.
do.
But I think over like Helen and Dawn, for example, is
Yes.
moral. Um, so yes, I would say that's certainly the vibe. And when I looked at how many Bindu films I've seen, it's 29, I believe, which is not
Mm,
nearly as many as I would have thought. But I have also just watched some of her songs on YouTube and with no regard to the film, so I
right.
can't comment. But yeah, that's my sense based on what I've seen.
Yeah. And I feel like that's probably what I mean, I don't know to what extent this was a strategy, right? Like I kind
Right,
of doubt
right.
that back in those days, these ladies were like sitting down and thinking, okay, what is my brand? What is my strategy? What kind of roles am I
What
accepting?
if they
But
had monthly meetings, the three of them, and they're like dividing up, like I heard this
in
film
like
is
a
coming.
speakeasy,
That really seems to be more your kind of deal. They're like dividing up the work.
that is
What if they have a
fabulous.
union? What if there's a vamp union?
I want to be secretary of the Vamp Union. I'll take like minutes of the meeting.
This is our Vava Productions film. It's made now. It's set in the 70s. We'll get all of our favorite people now to play these women in the 70s who are a vamp union. Oh, this is the best idea I have
It
ever
sounds
had in my life.
amazing. I love the Vamp Union. It's like sequence and socialism.
Yeah.
It's like power to the people while also stabbing them.
How do we say sequins in socialism in Hindi? That's the name of our film.
Oh God, I have no
You
idea.
think about that. We'll get back to it. It
Okay, I'll think about it.
has to be alliterative, right?
We should trademark it.
Or why? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
This is our film.
But
No one can make it.
yeah. Jalwa or Jan. I don't know. But yeah, but
Oh.
I wonder to what extent it's like they started getting typecast. And where producers were like, well, this is the kind of person I want, so I'm going to go with this, because they all have their own specific look. Like I was
Mhm.
discussing this with my husband, who, poor thing, he has to listen to my diatribes and my like soapbox, but usually he just says, he nods and he says, yes dear. But Aruna Irani, often you see her in these like village belle
I was about
costumes,
to say village,
village, and like
not
she's like,
always, but
she's
often. Yeah.
right, she's like spunky, she's like
Yeah.
throwing knives at you, and
Yeah.
she gets her heart
Gypsy.
hurt,
Hmm.
gypsy, or like in Carvine and stuff like
Hmm.
that. And her dances are very Indian. They're very like gaon
Mm.
ki gori, and like
Mm.
that. And then her styling is very desi, right? She's very
Hmm.
desi. And then there's Helen, and she's very European. She has her cabaret, it's very Moulin Rouge.
And
It's
somewhere I read or heard someone refer to her as more like a fairy sometimes. There's like a real, if there's an earthiness to Aruna Irani, there's a
yes,
lightness and sort of like skipping around,
to Helen.
more ballet-like, which would trend with being Western, to Helen. And she
Yes,
is the, I don't know, like height-wise, but physically she
petite.
to be the most petite, the slightest
Mm-hmm.
of them. So that does add to the like,
There is a daintiness.
yeah. And
Yeah, and then
Bindu is not dainty.
no. Bindu would probably deck you for calling her dainty. She'd be like, how dare you? But yeah, so then Helen has her own thing that's going on. And like Helen is clearly the best dancer of all three, like
Yeah,
by
oh yeah.
far. The most trained dancer, the most graceful, the one whose dances audiences are paying good money to go and watch in the theater. And then it's all much more Eurocentric. Although I say that, and then one of my favorite Helen songs is Mungra Mungra, where
Sure.
she's wearing like a sari. But
You also
on the
get her
whole,
as being Village Belle from time to time, or she is
yes,
the like, I, I, I don't think I should use the word gypsy, so I apologize for that. But the, sort of like whatever ethnic minority the film is trying to evoke, she might be the chief's daughter or whatever.
yeah,
And you do see her doing more rural, more folk,
yeah,
not necessarily inspired in terms of dance, but like that's her
right,
character, such that there is.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And then with Bindu, I think I see Bindu more as like, to me, Bindu is more versatile than both of these ladies, because I've seen
Mm.
so many movies of hers where she's just kind of like this upper middle class lady who is just like crafty, or
She's
she's like
urban though,
rich.
right?
She's always urban.
Yeah, I've never seen Bindu as a village belle. I'm not saying it didn't
No,
happen. I'm just saying I don't think I've seen it.
I haven't. She's always urban, and she's the one to me that is least associated with dancing.
Ah,
She's associated the most to me with like shenanigans. And
oh,
also, I feel like Bindu is often equally the brains of the operation,
mm,
as opposed to Aruna and Helen, who are going along with it, or who
mm.
are the eye candy of the villain. A lot of times, Bindu is the mastermind, like in the movie that I watched in Do Raaste, or in Hawas, she's the bad guy. So I almost feel like, from an acting standpoint, I feel Bindu is the strongest of the three. She's
Mm.
the weakest in terms of dancing, but she's also the most versatile. Like in was it Ittafaq or Intahan? I always confuse the two.
Ittifaq, ittifaq.
Right. Like, like you can see Bindu in like a chiffon sari with like sequins and her hair done up in a bouffant. And she's like at
Mhm.
a party and she's being like a hostess. And of course, she's crafting all sorts of like manipulative things in her mind. But then you're also seeing her doing some sort of like white collar crime. So to me, she's almost like, she's the most dangerous of the three. She's also the one that absolutely will not think twice before like drowning you in her bathtub, if it'll help her get her way. So she's the one I'm
Mhm.
the most scared of.
Mhm. Oh yeah, yeah.
But how amazing that you have these three actresses that essentially never really cut into each other's business, because they each found their own shtick, their own thing. And then, producers could come to them with whatever role they had, or they pick the actress first and then model the role based on that, right?
Yeah, yeah. Oh, what what a time to be alive. I mean,
I
we were
know.
not alive, but we can benefit from those who were. Like what
Absolutely.
a rich pool of amazing people.
I know. I
And they're
was
all
watching.
alive still, so
I
hooray.
know. So amazing. And did you know Bindu and Aruna Irani are first cousins?
No, not until I was looking at Wikipedia. I don't know how that has escaped me, but I love that.
Imagine one
Love it.
family producing two vamps. Isn't that amazing? I want to attend all the wedding sangeets of that family.
Right. Right. I mean, why does this surprise us that people are related anymore? I don't
Right.
know. But and yet, because at a certain point you run out of people that we've all heard of, and yet here are two more. So
Yeah. But I was watching an interview of hers on
Mm.
Bollywood Hungama, and I'll post it in the caption. It is mostly in Hindi, so people who don't speak English may not be able to understand it, although there's like a little bit of English happening. And in that, the interviewer asked Bindu like how she first got her um, like her movie role and everything. And Bindu's dad was a film producer, and
Ah.
but he died when she was 13. So it's that
Mm.
classic tale of you were the oldest daughter, you now have to figure out a way to make money. And it's, the same Madhubala, Meena Kumari, Nargis story, right? So she started working, and her first movie that she did were like, do you want to do this role? And then she was like, sure, I'll do it. And then they were like, just so you know, though, it's not the role of the heroine, it's a vamp. And she was like, should I really be doing a vamp role? Like, what will people say? But they needed the money, so she was like, it's fine. So she did it. And then of course she got, once you've done that vamp role, that's it. Like, your fate is cemented, you will always be a vamp, right? um, and the interviewer actually asked her, they were like, did you ever regret the fact that you couldn't become a heroine, or you
Mm.
didn't become a heroine? And she said, initially I did. Initially it did feel bad. I did feel
Mm.
bad that I wasn't a heroine, because I feel like I could have been a heroine. But eventually I realized that I was actually getting to do so much more as a vamp. Like, the roles were more interesting and I was just having more fun. And so eventually I didn't regret it. And also, she made a very interesting point from like a career standpoint. She said also, the heroines had so much more competition between them. I didn't have any competition,
Oh, wow. See, if
right?
you
So,
unionize, there's enough for everyone.
right. And it's like a monopoly too, right? Because when she said I didn't have any competition, for a second I paused and I was like, but like, you did though. There were these other people. And let's not forget there was also Prema Narayan and Kalpana Iyer and stuff, right? Like, I'm not
Hmm.
even counting them. So you did have competition. But then I thought to myself, I don't think Bindu ever really did. Because unlike Helen and Aruna Irani, especially Helen, who didn't get like meaty roles, Bindu did get meaty roles. So she wasn't just doing dances, she was doing these things where she was doing shenanigans. So if you wanted a female villain, you could cast her, and the Rakis and the Sharmila Tagores and the Neeta Singhs
Mm.
and the heroines, they weren't going to do that stuff.
Mm-mm.
So she was right. She was like, I realized that I didn't have any competition. Meanwhile, the heroines did. So you know what? I'm happy. It's fine.
So does that make her the inheritor of Nadara, for example? The flavor is kind of different, but woman villain is the
But I don't
same.
think Nadra was ever, well, in some she was. She was like she was like the shrewish person, but then she's like reformed by the male or whatever. But I think, didn't Nadra basically play these like, if she basically played heroines who had a bad temper, and as you like to say, pesivali. It was more of that. I don't think
Mm.
Nadra was ever like an out and out villain where she was like plotting other people's downfalls and demises. She was just an extremely spoiled and entitled person half the time.
Huh. Isn't she a villain opposite Raj
No, but
Kapoor?
you know what? She is a vamp in what is that Raj Kapoor movie that I can't think of right now? Her role in that movie reminds me of Amrita Singh in Raju Ban Gaya Gentleman.
Right, right.
Is it? Am I thinking of Avara or Shri Char Sabis? But there is
I
that
think
movie.
yeah, I think it's the latter.
It's the very Amrita Singhish role where
Yeah,
she's trying to like be like, look, this is what the 1% lives like. Don't you want to join us?
I can imagine
So
Bindu doing that.
yes, I can imagine Bindu doing that for sure. But no, you're right. Nadra did do that stuff as well. So
There's
maybe
kind
she
of
is the
a,
inheritor to Nadra, to answer your
and
question.
then Amrita Singh kind of takes on
Yes.
some of that, although he's also a heroine, right? So
Yes. But by then the lines had started getting crossed. It was more, the
yeah.
boundaries were more porous.
I'm
Isn't
sure
this
there's a
so
dissertation
delightful?
out there about this that that I should have looked for before recording, but I can look for it after.
How delightful. Okay, do you want to hear about the movie I
Would
watched?
love to.
Okay, so I watched a movie called Do Raaste, which literally means two paths. And the movie begins with one of my absolute favorite actors of all time, who makes me go squee just as Sunil that does. And that actor is Balraj Sahani. I love him so much.
Can I just, as an outsider to Hindi cinema, I have always been struck by the love of Balraj Sahni. It's like everybody loves Utpal Dutt. Everybody
Yes.
loves Balraj Sahni. And I'm not,
Everybody loves Farouk Sheikh.
everybody loves Farooq Sheikh. That one I understand.
Mm.
I do not understand the love of Balraj Sahni. I don't argue with it. I
Yeah,
don't think it's bad. I don't like question, but
right.
I don't, I
You
like him.
don't get it.
No, but like
Yeah.
people love him. And I've always been like, huh. There's something I that does not that I have not understood, and that's
I
fine.
will explain.
Okay.
At least from my position, I will explain. Okay, so do you understand the love that people have for Sunil Dutt?
Yes. Obviously, yes.
You get that.
Yes.
It's very similar.
Okay.
I think what they embody, and I'm speaking for myself, I'm not saying that this is how every single person feels, but I feel like a lot of people feel the same way I do. I think what Barazani and Sunil Dutt, and to a lesser extent Farooq Sheikh, represent is that they represent that very rare human being that you know. Either you actually know them or you've heard of them or they're part of your family or whatever, who is almost too good for this world. I use the Gen Z word pure, where they're too pure, like they're noble, but they're not noble in a way that is weird and saccharine and preachy, where it gets on your nerves, where like, oh, here you go again being the better person. It's just the kind of like nobility and like the goodness that you know is very rare and that you know you are absolutely not capable of. Like,
No.
I am too petty and too spiteful and too vindictive to ever be a fraction of what they were. And I think in the case of at least Barazani and Sunil and to Farooq Sheikh also, their real life image and their real image were very aligned. These were
Yeah.
not people who were two-faced, and just in real life also they were just known for being really lovely. So I think it's not just the person, it's a representation
Mm.
of what you know is so rare.
We
Like when
need
people
we
say,
need those figures in the world, right? We need to
yeah,
imagine that they exist at the very least.
exactly. And Balrat Sahni especially is so beloved by people because most people, especially of my generation and my father's generation, watched Kabuliwala very young, when they were at a very influential, state of mind or whatever. And once Kabuliwala imprints on you, especially when you're a weak tot, you will never have anything except extreme outpouring of love for Balraj Sahni, because that movie is just like, once it gets its tentacles in you, you will never be able to take them out. His role in Kabuliwala is even more idealistic, even more loving, even more heart wrenching than, like, say, Gregory Peck in To Kill a Mockingbird. Like, everyone loves Atticus Finch, but Atticus Finch did what he did for an ideal. Kabuliwala is not just an ideal. Kabuliwala is like just like a love. So it's kind of like, it's Baraj Sahani is more than just the man and the actor. He's a representation of an ideal to me. It's also why people love Princess Diana. Like, Princess Diana is
Mm.
not just a human, she represents something. Like, again, the idea of someone being too good, too pure, not knowing how to navigate shenanigans. So, anyway, I love Balraj Sahni, because also Garam Hawa. Oh my God. Kabuliwala, Garam Hawa. Watch these two movies, boom, the love is unending. So anyway, I watched Do Raaste. The movie begins with Baraj Hani. He is being his usual Baraj Ness, where he's just being this wonderful patriarch, and he's just so lovely and he's so darling and endearing and all of these things. And his son, no, his brother is Prem Chopra. And Prem Chopra is just awful from day one. Like, he's just awful. And then Prem Chopra's younger brother is Rajesh Khanna, who is just kind of like more of like an observer and a watcher of what's going on. So Baraz Hani and Prem Chopra are two extremes, and then Rajesh Khanna is kind of like in the middle. It
I don't
doesn't.
I if you're watching on YouTube, you can see the face I'm making, but if you're not, I am making a big scrunched up kind of I don't know if I like that face. But
Yeah, yeah.
I'm not in charge, so please continue.
Yeah. So it's basically these two like opposing forces, and it's about how um Rajesh Khanna is in love with Mumtaz. Their love story, by the way, is very cute. Mumtaz just looks like a million bucks. She looks so beautiful. And she has a really famous, really good song in this movie, which is Bindiya Chamkegi, which everyone knows this song. And she's just darling in this film. Her older sister is Bindu, and Bindu and Prem Chopra are also in love, and they get married, and then Bindu comes to live with them, and then the shenanigans begin. So Prem Chopra is a horrible human, so is Bindu, and between the two of them, they basically just like kind of like destroy this family and this home, and they're just unremittingly bad and have no redeeming qualities whatsoever from start to finish. They're horrible. It's two really bad people who found each other. So they really are like made for each other, except they're horrible. Um, this is what I want to say about Bindu. She is so glamorous. She's so beautiful. She's so nasty. She is such a snob. And she's so vile to every single person in this movie, all the way from Balraj Sahni to the little children in the house, which one of them is Junior Mahmood. She's just awful to everybody for no reason whatsoever because she's just a bad person. And what really gave me the shivers, her performance, Beth, is so amazing. You have to watch this movie. She really holds her own. This is an actress who was in her 20s at the time.
Mm,
And Balraj Sahni at this point was already a veteran of
mhm,
theater and cinema and like a celebrated actor. And there's the scene in the movie, the hospital, where Rajesh Khanna has been injured because Rajesh Khanna and Prem Chopra got into a fight and they were like fighting with each other. They're brothers. It's like a kick out, drag out fight. And Rajesh Khanna had the upper hand and he was winning. So guess what Bindu does? Bindu takes a big base and comes from behind and like hits Rajesh Khanna in the head and he's all bleeding and he's a concussion. And that's why he's in the hospital. And at one point, they're overhearing the doctor and the doctor says he has to call the police station to make a case because technically if he's been hit by someone and if he dies, it's murder, right? So at one point they're like listening in the corridor, and then Bindu literally says to Prem Chopra, she's like, "Idhar aao," and she calls him to a corner, and then she essentially says something to the effect of like, "We need to leave because like if he wakes up and he implicates us," and I'm like, "Girl, where are you gonna hide?" So it's terrible. And Bharat Sahni is crying. Everyone is afraid that Rish Khan is going to die. And there's this scene where, you know, even in the most over the top melodramatic Hindi movie, you can always count on Bharat Sahni to like reel it in. Like he's never the one who's having histrionics, even when everyone else around him is being crazy. He always like keeps it together. So there's this beautiful scene. Well, it's not a beautiful scene. He's beautiful. There's a scene where he's looking out the window of the hospital out onto the main street and he's so worried, he's so afraid that his brother's going to die, he's consumed with worry and he's trying to keep it together for the rest of his family because his wife is crying, his mother, everyone is worried about Rajesh Khanna. And he's just like kind of like holding his heart like this because he's so worried about the bad news that might come out of the operation theater. And he's like this, and his face is just scrunched up with worry, and he's so sad. And meanwhile, Bindu comes up to him and is a total asshole. And I was like, wow, the guts it takes to be this actress in your 20s and you go up to the Balraj Sahni, who is desperately trying to hold it all together and not burst into tears, and you go to his face and you're a jackass to him. I was like, you're amazing. This is amazing. I'm shocked, but I'm amazed. Like, I swear to God, I am not an actor. I have no interest in being an actor. But if I were an actor and someone told me I had to basically go and say really insulting things to Balraj Sahni when he's acting his heart out and he looks like he's heartbroken, I wouldn't be able to do it. I wouldn't. They would have to fire me because I would do such a bad job. I'd probably start crying. I'd be like, I'm so sorry, Kabuliwala. But not Bindu, because Bindu is just a stone cold killer.
love it.
It was kind of low-key amazing. I mean, I almost like, I'm not gonna say enjoyed this movie more than Hawas because this movie is very like melodramatic at times. And so I didn't enjoy it more, but just Bindu's sheer wickedness just kind of took my breath away because it was just so uncalled for. She was just so mean for no reason. And she looked like she was having giddy fun doing it.
Nice, nice. The images I'm looking at online of stills from this movie do look very cool.
Yeah, and she hasn't worn a single like cabaret outfit or anything like that because she's literally the choti bahu of this house.
Mm,
So she's
hmm
just basically worn like nice saris and
hmm
her hair's like done nicely, but she's like obviously she's not wearing like a choti because she's Bindu. So she's wearing a bouffant at least and like fully made up with makeup. Why are you laughing?
I can't imagine her in a braid or something. That's
Come
ridiculous.
on.
That's not a
Why
thing.
would she? Or a ponytail? Of course not. It's Bindu. So yeah, like no,
Ah,
she's Binduing.
that's so weird to even imagine.
No, she's wicked. And then I was wondering, and I wanted to ask you this: why why does it give us so much giddy joy? Because every time you and I talk about the vamps, we're so giddy with joy. We're so excited. We're just laughing and so happy the whole time. Why does it give us so much joy, especially when they're being so wicked?
Because they are unfettered, right?
Yeah.
These are until Parveen Bobby and Zinat Aman, right? Like
Mm,
these are women There are exceptions here and there, to be sure. But
Yes.
it's why the snake dance and guide is so amazing because
Oh
Wahida is unfettered because you get to see not just the characters, but also the performers go for it. And it's
yeah.
just so satisfying in a time and place where women are so boxed in and made have assumptions made about them. And it's still true in a
Hmm.
lot of places all the time. And I was thinking about, you know, just to just do what you want is
Yeah.
still so hard for so many women. Um, and you and I who lead fairly unfettered lives, we don't do exactly only what we want, although we're pretty close. We're pretty lucky that way. But you know, and everybody has societal expectations and things that they deal with. But obviously, women are usually below men in most of these regards. So I think it's just seeing them get to just go for it. Um, and the fact that going for it and doing what they want automatically makes them bad is obviously a very heavy weight that women around the world bear.
Yeah.
And so it's amazing when they sparkle and fly and leap and stab and drown and dance and whatever else that they're doing because they at least they had a moment, you know.
Yeah. It's
I think
cathartic.
it's cathartic, and I think it's even though we know there will be something like that because we know what movie we're watching, there's still something unexpected about it that, you know, and some people say that the secret to comedy, to laughter, is something unexpected.
Mm.
And that what's not to love? And I do wish that they could just die unredeemed sometimes. And I do
Right.
wish that they, um, even though in real life, obviously, I would like people to do something good with their lives and whatever, but I don't always need it in fiction. So it's kind of,
Yeah.
you know, and that's one of the things I like about Hawas, and we will spoil it fully here, is that, you know, in her dying moment, Bindu, who has fought like hell to keep this necklace and to keep herself out of jail and to prove to all these men that she's smarter than they are and can trick them. And she all but gets away with it, right? There's several rounds of people thinking they've gotten the better of her, and they have not.
Hmm. She's always one step ahead of them.
She donates her eyes to the blind sister because, of course, she does. But it's just like tact. And I don't know this, but you can almost imagine the censors were like, you got to add that on.
Right.
Or they put it there knowing that the censors might make a comment like that. So it's just I don't know, just seeing women get to do what they want and control their lives the way they want
Hmm.
and their deaths the way they want
Right.
it's really really satisfying.
They're also, I mean, to me, like even putting the catharsis aside, which is a big part of why I love the vamps, but I think they're just also more entertaining to
They
watch.
are more entertaining
Like,
because as much as I love Neetu Singh, her character in this is not as fun or interesting as Bindu's.
yeah, it's just like teeny boppery.
Yeah,
Yeah, and then in so many of the movies from the 70s, right? Like, for example, I watched Kati Patang for our color series. I think that was the movie I chose for the color white
yeah.
because Asha Parekh is a widow in that movie. I actually really liked Asha Parekh's performance in this movie, and I liked the movie, and I thought she acted really well. Having said that, to me, the 3 minutes or 2 minutes of the song "Mera Naam Hai Shabnam, Pyar Se Log Mujhe Shabu Kehte Hai" is worth 15 Kati
Oh,
Patangs,
of
and
course.
it's worth 15 Asha Parekh
Of
performances.
course.
Apologies to Asha Parekh fans, because all Asha Parekh does in this movie, honestly, is cry and feel bad about the bad decisions she herself has made. And now, she's like at the fuck around and find out phase in this movie, and bad things are happening to her. And, and I have my sympathy for her character, but also I get tired of her crying. She cries too much. And then there's Bindu, and she's just wearing her sequin jumpsuit and she's dancing like an absolute maniac. Like, I don't know how many drugs have been ingested before this performance. And it's just more entertaining.
Yeah.
It's just more fun.
I was actually just thinking as you were saying that, like, is this a reason that people like Pooh from
Yes.
K3G? I've never made that connection before because I just find her so irritating.
Yeah.
But also, that is an unfettered
Yes.
woman.
Yeah.
She's a brat. She's the pesewaliest
Yeah.
of them all in a way, but she is not caring particularly what other people think of her.
Yeah. That is to some extent also what the appeal of Karina is too, like
Sure.
outside of
Yeah.
films as well, right? Like
Yeah.
that's kind of what makes her entertaining to so many people, including myself. Like, do I want to be friends with Bebo? No. But I find her absolutely tone deaf statements and interviews very entertaining because as even Geet from Jab We Met says, मैं अपनी favorite हूँ. And that's
Hmm.
always at least entertaining and fun to watch rather than a heroine who is just crying, woe is me.
And Kamini, her
She's
name
her
is,
own
she
favorite.
is her own favorite. Yeah. I mean,
100%.
the nerve, here my finger quotes, right? But like that's why we love them.
Yeah. I was gonna say something and I lost my train of thought.
I do have a question for you, but it's more of a wrap up
Yes.
question, so I can save it until you've had your, have you thought of your thought?
No, you could ask me your
Okay.
question while I'm thinking of my
Well, so
thought.
you were talking earlier about Bindu's
Oh,
mom. Oh, go
I
ahead.
had my thought. Can I say my
Yeah,
thought before I forget
of
it?
course.
Okay. Apart from the cathartic thing that I like, I think the other thing I really enjoy about the Vamps is that in many of their movies, including like with Helen especially, they often get, or also this happens in Dirty Picture with the Silk Smitha monologue, they often get a line or a few lines that are given to them by the screenwriter and the director where they get to talk about the hypocrisies of
Yes,
society,
that's true.
and that is also
Hmm.
very entertaining to watch. And the song that many Gen Z people know due to the movie Queen, which is Maine Hoto Se Lagai To Hangama Ho Gaya,
Hangama
that
ho
is
gaya.
originally a Bindu song.
Yes, yes,
And that song is so much fun to watch, and we
yes.
will put it in the comment in the captions so you all can see it. But that the lyrics of that song are so much fun because she talks about how mere yaar ne pilai to, like if my lover gave me a little drink to have, why is there such a big fuss, and why is all of this fuss directed at me? The whole song is basically like
Mm,
talking about all of these situations and saying if other people are drinking you don't have a problem, but when I drink it's a problem, right? The whole song, even though it's a very entertaining song and it's had the disco and it's very groovy and it's very like 70s
very
style and the
groovy.
fashions are amazing, it, at its core the song really is asking questions about double standards and about how men can do all of these things, y'all don't have any problems with it, but the minute I, a woman, do it, you have a problem with that. And I love that for her. I love that moment for her, and I think that is as relevant in 2026 as it was in the 70s.
Hmm.
What's
Hmm.
what's right for the goose is right for the gander, but it's not though. And
Yeah.
so it's such a good song. And then the other song I wanted to mention is I found it so fun. I have not seen this movie. It's called Fande Baz, and it's Bindu and Prem Chopra together. And there's a song in it where she says, Tera dimag or mera shabab. So like your brains and my shabab is kind of like it factor, like my
Uh-huh.
it factor.
Uh-huh.
Mil jaye. So your brains and my it factor, if they come together, to dunya ki chutti ho gayi. Like everyone else is a goner. It is
That's so
such a
great.
wicked song, Beth.
Yeah,
They're in the swimming pool, and you would love this. You should watch this video.
I
They're in
will.
the pool. She's in a swimsuit. He's in a swimsuit. They're just canoodling, and there's this like a pool floaty, but it's
Hmm.
it's in sort of like this oblong pool floaty, and on it there are drinks, and they're taking drinks from this pool floaty. And I was just like, I want to be in that pool with Bindu and Prem Chopra, drinking from the martini and just like
Nice,
being a fly on the wall and listening to them. And the
nice.
whole song is about they're so giddy with enjoyment and they're so happy. And she's basically just talking about how they can scheme and the whole world is theirs.
Oh, I love it.
It's
Yeah, so like
fabulous.
Prem Chopra should have been the bad guy in Hawas, for example.
Yeah,
Um, that would have
I
like,
still stand by my Danny casting.
oh no, no, he can be the hero, but we
The
need,
Anil Dhawan.
yeah, we need Prem Chopra as Pinshu Kapoor's character, I
Oh,
think. That would have
okay,
been great.
sure. Okay.
Are you
You had
ready
a
for your
you had a
question?
question. Yes.
Well, you were talking about, Bindu's dad was a film producer and then, he died, so she needed to go to work.
Mhm.
If your dad was a film producer and had died when you were 13, what would you have done in the film industry?
Oh my. Um, well, it's more like process of elimination. Okay, so I can't dance, so I couldn't have been an extra. Like no one would have hired me as that. Um,
You could be like
I
a
can't
girl in the
act.
canteen, like the heroine's friend, right?
That sounds so depressing, Beth. I don't
I
want
know.
that.
Okay.
Okay, I think I would have joined the writers department.
Yeah.
And of course, they wouldn't have wanted me in there, but I would have like wheedled my way into it and come up with like lots of like shady and shenanigan ideas. And I would
Okay.
have worked really hard and come up with all of these like schemes and ideas. And then I
Nice.
feel like they would have been like, okay, she's annoying, but she has some good ideas. Fine, take her on.
Nice.
So
Nice.
yeah. What would you have done?
I also would have tried to get into the writing department,
Yeah.
even just as editing, copy editing, that kind of thing, not
Yeah.
like creative editing when you're a teenager. But I've always been
Yeah.
pretty good at marking up other people's writing. So
Yeah, because so many of the scripts, especially, used to be not ready when they would start shooting, and then the
right,
scripts would be being written on the set, and like the
right.
dialogues would be written. So I'm a fast thinker, and I could be like, "Hello, I have suggestion. Please listen to me."
Would you not have been a like a wardrobe gopher?
Oh, I would love that.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe that's what I wanted to
Yeah.
do. Okay, that's what I would want to do. But yeah, I would just like dress all the pretty people and
Yeah.
yeah, I would
Or
do
you
that.
just
Okay.
hold things for the stylists or whatever while and then you could work
Yeah,
your
and
way up.
then I would basically sabotage the stylist and get their job.
Nice,
Because
nice,
I would be inspired by Bindu.
very nice.
I would stab the stylist in the back, and then I wouldn't go quite so far as to like ply them with drink and drown them in a bathtub because I don't want to go to jail.
No,
But I would definitely stab them in the back, get their job. I have questions for you.
I'm very excited. I have no idea what's
Okay,
coming.
so of our three great Devis,
Hmm.
Helen, Aruna Irani, and Bindu, of these three, whom would you want to befriend?
What?
You have to pick
Why?
one.
Why are you doing this to me?
Because I'm evil. I am in the spirit of this episode. The Bajata movie had no effect on me, Beth.
Uh, I'm going to say Aruna Irani because I think she did the most different kinds of things and therefore would have the biggest range of interesting stories.
Ah,
Not
okay.
the biggest number, but the biggest diversity.
Okay. That's interesting. Okay.
There's no
Who would
wrong
I
answer
want to?
here, but
No, there's no wrong answer. I think my friend would have been Bindu, just
mm,
because I don't think you can be so giddily wicked without at least having some amount of wickedness in you. And I have no wicked friends, and so I would like to have at
uh,
least one really wicked friend.
okay.
I think I could
Yeah.
learn from her. Okay, of these three ladies, whom would you want to be married to?
Oh boy. Um, no boy. Um, I mean, they're all survivors, right? They're
Yes,
all fighters, so that's pretty interesting. Um,
they're all gorgeous. They're all smart. They're all talented. I mean, they're all
ooh.
amazing.
My gut was Helen, but I can't tell you why. So I think I'll just have
Okay.
to go with my gut and again say there is no wrong answer here.
Yeah. My answer is actually Aruna Irani for this because I'm scared of Bindu. So I don't want
Sure,
to be married to Bindu. Like
sure.
I feel like I would constantly be like watching my back. And every time something bad happened to me, I'd be like, you did this, didn't you? So I feel like I would just become like this suspicious, like nervous wreck.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't want to be married to Bindu. It would be bad for my mental health, but I will
Mm-hmm.
befriend her and
Mm-hmm.
learn from her wicked ways. And then Helen, I love, but Helen is like, immoral, so I don't think I could
Right.
manipulate her. So I like Arunarani because if I feel like if I did bad things, she would forgive me because she has a heart of gold.
Okay. Yeah.
So yeah, I'm thinking very shrewdly in
Okay.
terms of marriage. Okay, if you were starting a business, and this is a legit business,
Oh, okay.
okay, like maybe you are looking for a co-host for a podcast, or you want to start like a bookshop or whatever. If you wanted to start a business of your own, whom would you collaborate with? Who would you approach to be your business partner?
Uh,
Maybe you want to start a nightclub. I don't know what your ambitions are, Beth.
again, I'm going to say Aruna Irani because of the diversity of stuff she did. I think she has the best contacts.
Okay,
Her network is
interesting.
the biggest, is my theory.
Okay, that's a good one. Um, Collaborate with business. I feel like I would probably go with Helen
Mm,
because I feel like Helen just had so much charm
true.
and is like a bit of a social butterfly. And I feel like so much of business is like wheeling and dealing and networking and contacts and like sweet talking people. And I feel like with Helen on my side, I mean, every tender would get passed, and like,
Mm,
everything I wanted, permitting would happen real quickly. I mean, she would just come bat her eyelashes at them, maybe like do this with her like ostrich feathers, and then boom, next thing you know, we're making money, right? So I
nice,
could kind of coast a little bit.
nice.
um okay, last question. Okay, who would you want to be your co-conspirator? So this is not a business question. This is a Beth Watkins wanting to be a bad,
Bindu.
and Beth Watkins. Oh,
Yeah, Bindu, of course.
okay,
I
awesome.
too have never really been particularly bad, and I would
as
have a lot to
as
learn.
much as we know.
And I think that this one would be the most helpful
Me
if
too.
I need to, I don't know, bump somebody off or steal
Yeah,
something or swap a fake necklace in for the real one or
torture your stepdaughter.
torture, yeah, build a
Yeah,
lair. Like I feel like that's a Bindu situation. Now I fully expect her to just tell me what to do and I have to do most of the work,
yeah,
but that's okay.
yeah. You'll be the one digging the grave, but
Yeah.
she'll direct you.
Yeah.
And then she'll help you hide the evidence and stuff. No, you're
Yeah.
right. Yeah, same for me. If I'm co-conspiring with someone, I want Bindu on my side,
Hmm.
because I know Bindu has no morals whatsoever. So,
I also would like her, at work we talk a lot about when the zombie apocalypse comes,
yes.
what order are we being bumped off in?
Oh, yeah.
And I feel like if you had Bindu with you in a situation sort of like that, I would never, she might be final girl. I'm not going to be final girl, but I would get further with Bindu
Yeah.
teaching me or help, that we're on the same side or we're locked in the same garden shed or whatever.
You would survive as long as you were of some use to her. So
Right,
you better make sure you're useful enough
right,
to her. So I
right.
would keep the whining to a bare
Oh
minimum,
yeah,
and
yeah,
I
no
would,
whining,
yeah,
no whining.
and I would like try to polish up like the survival skills, and
Yeah,
then she'll take care of you until she won't take care of you, and then you're fed
that's
to the
fair.
zombies.
That's
But
fair.
amazing. I love that we went from cabaret to zombies in like
Yeah,
2 seconds. What is your favorite Bindu song?
Shabnam.
Of course,
I mean,
that's like,
sorry to be basic, but Hungama Hogaya is also way up there. And
yeah,
I had not seen that song before Queen, but of course watched it after that and was like, oh yeah, I can see why they would uh take this and reuse it. And obviously there's a lot that makes it fit, but I was like, oh yeah. Oh yeah.
yeah.
However, I will say this song that's behind me here on Zoom from Havas is way up there as well. This was a great one
Mm-hmm.
because she looks like she's having so much fun. The character and the actor just seem to be like, look at this gorgeous smile. This is someone enjoying what they're doing,
Yeah.
even if it's just the character. But it was a joy to behold. Again, she's doing what she wants. That dance is as much for her as it is for the man, right?
Hmm.
By leaps and bounds, probably even more so. So yeah, I love it.
You know what I found very interesting, because I watch a lot of these like retro, like interviews of retro stars. There's a lot of really good ones on the Kapil Sharma show. I mean, show is
Mm,
horrible, but when he brings the retro stars, I watch those segments. And then Lehre often has, and then Bollywood Hangama often has
mm,
interviews with these people. And sometimes, like with the rise of all of the podcasts, there's some podcasts on Instagram also that will interview some of these retro people. One thing I've noticed consistently is that a lot of the vamps or the item number doing people, like there was a interview I recently watched of Kalpana Iyer as well. A lot of times they talk about how much fun they had and how much they enjoyed themselves. And a lot of times when I've seen interviews of like the heroines, like when I've seen an interview of Asha Parekh, like Asha Parekh and Veeta Rahman had come on some of the shows and stuff, they talk, I don't know if it's like more balanced, but they talk about like the highs of their careers and like the good stuff that they did. But they also talk a lot about all of the challenges that they faced. And I feel like when I listen to the cabaret queens talking, there isn't as much of an emphasis on that. And I wonder to what extent it's them just trying to put on a show and be like everything was great, and
mm.
to what extent it was just that they didn't feel as much pressure
I was
for
going to say
box
that.
office
Yeah.
returns and stuff, and so they could actually just have fun.
Yeah. It's very rare that a movie would be riding on them, right? So,
Yeah, exactly. And then in the interview that I was watching of Bindu's, they mentioned that she has something like, I think, 7 or 9 Filmfare nominations,
yeah.
and but she didn't win a single one.
No.
And they asked her about it, and she literally just openly said that she was nominated for a Filmfare Award for her very first movie, for her debut film, whose name I have forgotten. And apparently she got more votes than anyone else from the Filmfare jury. And then someone else basically told her that the reason she didn't win is because she wasn't a heroine, she was a vamp.
Oh,
And then in the same breath, she said, however, when Jaya Baduri debuted with Goody, she got a Filmfare Award for, for her debut. So suddenly the debut role didn't matter anymore. And then the interviewer was just like, why? And she said, because she was a heroine. So that was the thing. Like, they're not going to give you an award because you're not the heroine. And then she
mm,
did talk about how she implied, she didn't say it very openly, she kind of like implied that, yeah, you can get nominations, but you're not going to win because it's just not, you're not the heroine, So you're always going to be like, there's a class system, right?
yeah.
And you're never going to be at the top of it. And she said initially it used to really bother her and she used to get really upset about it. And then eventually it just stopped bothering her because she was like,
Wow.
I know that the odds are stacked against me. So it's not really a reflection of how hard I worked. And it's just the name of the game. So it was
She
interesting
got
to
7 Filmfare Best
seven
Actress, or sorry, Best Supporting Actress nominations between 1970 and 1977,
and didn't win any.
and didn't win any. So it's Ittifaq,
Yeah.
Do Raaste, Dastan, Abhiman, Hawas, Imtihan, and Arjun Pandit.
So it's Ittafaq that she's talking
Yeah.
about when she said that she didn't win it. But yeah, very cool. Did you want to have anything else to say? Do you want to add anything before we sign
I
off?
just, as usual, if there are other Bindu films that we should see, either or songs or whatever, it doesn't matter how much she's in it. We would love to know what they are because we love.
We love more Bindu. Okay, I think that concludes this episode of Filmy Ladies. Thank you for watching. We will put some of our favorite Bindu songs in the caption, and we hope you are having a very, very utterly, wickedly delicious week. And if you are up to any shenanigans and any plots and any schemes, as long as they're of the non-criminal nature, feel free to share with us in the comments, and we will wish you all the best. If you have any non-criminal ones, you can just DM me, and then I will still wish you all the best, but just not openly enough. Anyway, we will see you next week. Thank you for watching. Bye.